In Stoic Men Tribe today, we're tapping into a powerful truth, a moment of inner strength. Sharp clarity and timeless wisdom don't skip any part of this video. Share your thoughts in the comment. Please do us a favor by hitting the subscribe button, like and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Let's break it down. Why letting go attracts more. Letting go isn't a weakness. It isn't quitting. It isn't some passive act of giving up on what you once cared about. No, latum. Letting go is deliberate. It is sacred. It is one of the most courageous things a human being can do, because it means choosing your own peace over the comfort of chaos. It means choosing truth over illusion. It means choosing self-respect over the exhausting hope that something broken will suddenly begin to heal itself. Letting go is not the absence of love. It is the presence of wisdom. It's the quiet voice inside of you that finally becomes loud enough to say, I can't keep setting myself on fire to keep something warm that was never meant to last. The hardest part? Letting go of what once felt like home. Even if that home was filled with cracks, silence, confusion, or pain. Because you built something there. You invested your time, your trust, your heart. You held on to it so tightly, convinced that if you just gave a little more, tried a little harder, stayed a little longer, it would change. It would see you. It would meet you halfway. But it didn't. And deep down, you began to disappear inside of it. You began to shrink to fit it, to tolerate what chipped away at your spirit, to silence your needs in order to keep the peace. And that's the truth no one talks about. Sometimes letting go isn't about another person or a failed dream. It's about ending your own habit of self-abandonment. It's about realizing that staying connected to what's hurting you is not loyalty. It's not love. It's a slow erasure of your soul. So you reach a point, slowly, painfully, beautifully, where you stop trying to fix what refuses to grow. You stop waiting for apologies that will never come. You stop hoping someone else will change just so you can finally feel seen. And instead, you start coming home to yourself. You start building a life where your peace is not the price you pay to be loved. You start honoring your intuition, the one that whispered long before it screamed. You start trusting that your worth was never tied to someone's ability to recognize it. Of course, there will be grief. Letting go always comes with loss. Even if what you're releasing was slowly destroying you, you'll feel the ache of nostalgia, the pull of old patterns, the temptation to go back. You'll miss the familiar, even when it was painful, because familiarity is powerful. It feels like safety, even when it's not. But beyond that ache, beyond the noise, the doubt, the grief, there is something else, something quieter, stronger, wiser. Freedom. Not the loud kind. Not the kind that shouts or dances or throws off the past with dramatic flair. But the quiet kind. The kind that lives in your chest when you breathe a little deeper. The kind that shows up when you no longer feel the need to explain your choices. The kind that feels like relief, like rest, like finally choosing yourself. Fully, without guilt, without apology. That's the revolution. Not against someone else, not against the past, but a revolution of self. A return to dignity, to truth, to softness, to strength. Letting go doesn't mean the story didn't matter. It just means you're ready to write a new one. One where you are no longer the one bleeding just to keep the pages turning. When you finally let go, you begin to come back to life. There's a moment, subtle, sacred, when you finally loosen your grip. When the exhaustion of trying, fixing, hoping, and holding on becomes heavier than the fear of letting go. When your spirit whispers what your mind has been too afraid to admit. This is no longer mine to carry. You stop chasing what keeps slipping away. You stop over-explaining your worth. You stop trying to pour life into something that no longer meets you with presence or purpose. And in that quiet act of release, that deeply personal decision to no longer abandon yourself, something begins to shift. Not all at once, not in a dramatic flash of clarity, but slowly, gently, like the sun rising over a frozen landscape. The energy you once spent holding everything together, holding yourself together, begins to return to you. The constant state of alertness you lived in, bracing for disappointment, overthinking every word, calculating your value based on someone else's response. It starts to soften. Your nervous system, once tangled in survival mode, begins to exhale. You begin to feel what it's like to rest without guilt, to breathe without the weight of unspoken expectations crushing your chest, to exist without the need to constantly prove that you're enough. Your mind clears. The racing thoughts slow down. The endless internal debate. Do I stay? Do I try again? What if they change? Quiets. Because you've finally made the decision that matters. You've chosen you. And your heart, which spent so long beating in rhythm with someone else's chaos, starts to find its own pulse again. It begins to remember peace. It begins to recognize the difference between love and emotional labor, between connection and captivity. And your hands, those beautiful, weary hands that held on far past their limit, they finally begin to open. At first they tremble, because release can feel like loss, even when it's freedom. But slowly the trembling fades, and your hands, no longer wrapped around what hurt you, become ready. Ready to receive what is real. Ready to hold joy without fear. Ready to touch a future not shaped by past wounds. Open to new experiences not rooted in survival. Open to relationships built on mutual care, not imbalance. Open to peace that doesn't require you to shrink. Open to a life that doesn't demand you sacrifice your soul to be accepted. This is the return to your center, to your breath, to the version of you that no longer asks, "What do they need from me?" but instead whispers, "What do I need from myself?" Because letting go isn't the end. It's the beginning of everything that was waiting for you, once your hands were free to hold it. Letting go is not the end. It's a threshold, a sacred turning point, not a final chapter, but the quiet unfolding of your true beginning. You see, letting go isn't about forgetting or pretending it didn't happen. It's not about erasing memories or denying the depth of what you felt. It's about releasing the grip that pain had on your identity. It's about unlearning the belief that your worth was tied to how much you could endure. Because somewhere along the way, you began to think that love meant sacrifice, that loyalty meant self-abandonment, that strength was measured by how much suffering you could carry in silence. But that wasn't love. That wasn't strength. That was survival. And there's a difference. Letting go is not the end of love. It is the end of distortion. The end of the illusion that you had to lose yourself in order to be worthy. It's the beginning of remembering who you were before you became a container for everyone else's expectations. Before you started shrinking to fit into spaces that didn't honor you. Before you began carrying pain like a second skin, wearing it as if it were your identity. This is your return, your homecoming, your sacred realignment. It is not loud, it is not always seen, but it is powerful, because the greatest healing happens in silence, in the moment you no longer need validation to release what is no longer yours to carry. In the moment you say, "This does not belong to me. This pain was never mine to keep. This story, this role, this weight, I'm done." Because the universe, this vast, intelligent, beautifully orchestrated universe, it is abundant, it is generous, it is aching to give you more than you've dared to imagine, but it will never violate your will. It will never force what you're unwilling to receive. It won't interrupt the chaos you're still attached to. It won't break the cycle you're still choosing. It won't send peace into a heart still echoing with resentment, or offer clarity to a mind unwilling to release confusion. That's not cruelty. That's alignment. That's divine law. Because healing, no matter how miraculous, is not passive. It doesn't fall from the sky while your hands are clenched around what already fell apart. It doesn't arrive while you're still making a home in grief, or calling your trauma a personality trait. You have to participate. You have to clear the space. You have to open your hands, even if they're trembling. and loosen your grip on what once felt like everything. Because holding on doesn't always mean strength. Sometimes real courage lives in the letting go. It lives in the willingness to release what's familiar but heavy, to mourn what never grew, what never bloomed, what never truly loved you back, to face the ache of emptiness, not as punishment, but as preparation. Because that emptiness isn't your ending, it's your clearing, your sacred in-between. The pause between who you were and who you're becoming. And transformation? It does not come by accident. It is not an inheritance. It is not bestowed upon the passive or the distracted. Transformation is born through surrender, through the conscious choice to stop running, stop blaming, stop gripping, and to finally say, I'm ready now, ready to release, ready to rise, ready to trust that what is meant for you won't ask you to betray yourself to keep it, ready to believe that peace is not found in control, but in flow, not in perfection, but in presence, not in holding on, but in letting go, fully, completely, unapologetically. Because when your heart unclenches, the universe rushes in, not with chaos, but with calm, not with more noise, but with deep anchoring silence, not with the same old pattern, but with something new, something gentle, something true. Surrender isn't defeat. Let's be clear. Surrender is not weakness. It is not giving up. It is not waving a white flag to life and walking away. It is not collapsing under the weight of your wounds. Surrender is strength of a different kind, a quieter, deeper kind, the kind of strength that no longer needs to grip so tightly or prove anything to anyone, not even to yourself. Surrender is the sacred art of releasing what was never yours to carry. It is the unraveling of false control, the soft exhale after years of bracing against life, the moment your soul says, I trust life more than I trust my fear. It is not passive, it is not lazy, it is intentional release. A conscious, brave decision to stop wrestling with reality and begin moving with it instead. Surrender is what happens when you stop obsessing over the outcome, when you stop trying to manipulate what's beyond your reach, when you finally understand that control is not the path to safety, it is the source of your suffering. You stop clinging, you stop forcing, you stop rewriting the same chapter, hoping it ends differently this time. And instead you place your trust in something greater, in the unseen rhythm of life, in the quiet wisdom that guides you when you're still, in the possibility that maybe, just maybe, you were never meant to carry it all alone. Because the truth is, struggle can become addictive. It can feel familiar. It can feel like home, especially when you've spent your life surviving instead of living. But you didn't come here just to endure. You didn't come here to white-knuckle your way through existence. You didn't come here to force what's fading or chase what's never been aligned. Surrender means letting go of the identity built on pain, the roles you played to feel worthy, the masks you wore to be accepted, the relationships you held onto because you were afraid of the silence that would follow. It's releasing the version of you that believed love had to be earned, that peace was a reward, that healing was something that would arrive once everything else was perfect. And in that release, in that sacred unclenching of the soul, that's where life begins again. Not the life others chose for you, not the one shaped by fear, guilt, or approval seeking, but your life. The one that pulses underneath all the layers you've been told to wear. The one that waited patiently beneath your pain, reclaiming your own gravity. Letting go is not only about walking away from the people or patterns that drain you. It's not just about deleting numbers, closing doors, or setting boundaries. Although all of those things matter. But the real work, the deep soul-level work, it's about returning. Returning to yourself, to your center, to the quiet, unshakable gravity that lives beneath the noise. Because when you were young, before the world taught you how to bend, twist, and perform, you knew. You knew who you were. You moved from your core. You spoke with clarity. You didn't apologize for existing. You didn't make yourself small so others could feel big. But somewhere along the way, life chipped away at your center. The opinions of others became louder than the voice inside you. Their expectations became your prison. And slowly, quietly, piece by piece, you drifted away from your own gravity. You became untethered, trying to orbit around everyone else's needs, trying to be everything to everyone while forgetting how to be anything for yourself. You forgot your own value while trying to be valuable. You forgot your own pace while rushing to meet timelines that were never yours. You forgot your own direction while chasing someone else's version of success. You forgot the rhythm of your own heart while trying to harmonize with people who never truly heard you. But gravity doesn't disappear. It waits, it pulls, it calls you back. And now here you are, standing at the edge of your own rediscovery. No longer willing to carry what dimmed you. No longer afraid to stand alone if it means standing in your truth. No longer seeking safety in the same places that broke you. This isn't weakness. This is your rising. This is the moment you reclaim your voice, your breath, your space. You are not a mirror for someone else's projection. You are not a dumping ground for their pain, their stories, their assumptions. You are not here to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you. You are here to return to yourself, to your essence, to your own sacred sovereign gravity. And once you do, once you fully inhabit your being again, you'll feel it. The calm, the clarity, the unmistakable power of a soul that no longer seeks permission to exist. That is where life begins again. This isn't just about letting go of them. This is about something far more sacred, far more personal. It's about returning to the person you were before the world asked you to dim your light, before you learned to shrink your spirit just to make others feel more comfortable, before you were taught that your worth had to be earned through exhaustion, sacrifice, or silence. This isn't just about them. It never was. It's about you, about the memory of you that still lives quietly beneath the noise, waiting for you to remember the sound of your own voice when it wasn't trembling, waiting for you to remember the shape of your soul before it contorted to survive, waiting for you to stop bending, breaking, and bruising yourself for the sake of belonging. Because you were never meant to beg for love, never meant to plead for approval. You were not put on this earth to perform for scraps of affection or chase peace through people who never knew how to carry it themselves. You were born worthy of love that doesn't come with conditions, worthy of joy that doesn't require explanation, worthy of rest, of truth, of space, of being. And the part of you that forgot that part isn't broken, it's just buried under years of overgiving, over-explaining, over-apologizing. But now is the time to remember. And here's the paradox. When you let go of control, life finally has room to move. When you stop trying to fix the past, the future begins to open. When you release the obsession with how and when, you start to feel the now. And that's where all your power lives. Healing isn't a spectator sport. Healing isn't something you watch happen from a distance. It isn't something that time alone can do. It requires your presence. It asks you to show up, not with perfection, but with willingness. Willingness to feel, to face, to forgive, to stop running from yourself long enough to actually meet the truth of who you are. Growth is not always graceful. It's messy, it's raw. It's days when you feel like you're unraveling more than evolving. But growth does not ask you to be perfect. It asks you to participate, to step into the fire of transformation with open hands, to shed the armor piece by piece, to let yourself be remade. You say you want peace? Then you must stop clinging to chaos. You say you want clarity? Then you must be willing to release the noise. You say you want love? Then you must love yourself enough to stop chasing those who don't see you. The life you long for, the life that whispers to you in quiet moments, the one that feels light, aligned, and true. It's not waiting for some future version of you who has everything figured out. It's not waiting for the day you finally heal everything or tie up every loose end. No, it's waiting for you to become willing. Willing to let go of control. Willing to release the grief you've made your identity. Willing to risk being seen, even in your becoming. Willing to choose yourself again and again, even when it feels unfamiliar. It's waiting for the version of you that stops asking for permission to be free. The one who trusts the unknown enough to stop replaying the known. The one who is done surviving and ready to start living. Wide open, arms outstretched, heart soft and strong. That's the version of you the future is waiting for. Not perfect, just present, just willing, just here. Willingness is the doorway willing. Not perfect, not certain, not fully healed, just willing. Willing to let go of what no longer feels aligned, even if it once defined you. Willing to release the familiar ache you've wrapped yourself in like armor. Willing to stop rewriting history, hoping for a different ending. Willing to trust the unknown, to step forward with empty hands, to soften where you once braced. Willing to believe, maybe for the first time, that you don't have to earn rest, that you don't have to justify your joy, that you don't have to carry the pain of others just to prove you're good, worthy, lovable, or strong. Willing to return, not to the roles you once played, not to the masks you wore to survive, but to yourself, to the real you, the one who existed before the world told you who to be, before you were shaped by other people's expectations, before you gave your life away in pieces just to belong. You are not here to orbit around others. You were never meant to live in reaction to someone else's gravitational pull. You are not a satellite spinning endlessly around someone else's chaos. You are not here to dim yourself to keep the peace. You are not here to sacrifice your truth so others feel more comfortable in their illusions. You are here to root, deeply, fiercely, into your own gravity, to plant yourself in your values, to stand. Not because you've figured it all out, but because you've finally stopped betraying yourself to fit in. You are here to speak what's true, even when your voice shakes, even when no one claps, even when it costs you things that once felt essential. You're here to walk forward, not because the path is perfectly clear, but because you've released the illusion that you need to have it all figured out to begin. You've dropped the weight of what was never yours to hold. The guilt, the shame, the responsibility for other people's happiness. The need to explain your worth in a language they understand. This is not just a return to peace. This is a return to power. Quiet, soul-deep power. The kind that doesn't beg, the kind that doesn't chase, the kind that rises, steady, unwavering, from within, clearing the space for what you truly desire.